Most developers have at least heard vague mumblings about this thing, Vim. But what is Vim? Why should every developer learn it? And how can you learn Vim effectively? Let's find out. What is Vim? Vim is a keyboard-focused text editor that provides efficient commands for cursor movement in text editing. Vim is built on VI, a 1970s era editor from a time when almost no one had a mouse. Literally just one research machine, the Xerox Alto, had a working one. Now, decades later, people still love Vim, and I believe that every developer should learn and use Vim. The 3 great benefits of Vim. Reduced mouse dependency. Constantly reaching for your mouse disrupts your workflow and ergonomics. Efficient editing. Vim provides powerful movement and editing commands. The fun factor. Using Vim can make coding feel more interactive and enjoyable, almost like playing a game. How to learn Vim effectively. If you're just getting started with Vim, I wouldn't recommend using one of the Vim-based IDEs like Vim or NeoVim just yet. Assuming you are part of the majority of developers who use VS Code or JetBrains IDEs, I would say just stick in your current tooling, and those IDEs have Vim extensions that you can use. So I would just use these Vim extensions and your current IDE to get used to Vim commands, and then you can go into one of the Vim-based editors. So VS Code has this Vim extension here, VS Code Vim, and that is going to enable Vim in VS Code. Now that we have Vim enabled, if you're just getting started, we don't want to become overwhelmed with the potential of Vim. So for the rest of this video, I'm going to be setting you up with a solid foundation to get comfortable in Vim. The first topic is going to be insert versus normal mode. So right now, when we have this block cursor, this is normal mode. And it's a little bit of a weird name for a mode, but this is where you're going to be able to do the Vim commands. And when I press the key I, that is now insert mode. And you can see our cursor is now the line. And this is insert mode, where you can go ahead and type text. So that just puts you in like the normal text editing mode. And to get back into that normal mode so we can use Vim's command, you press escape. So that means I puts you in insert mode where you can type text, and escape puts you back into normal mode. Now the first commands we're going to be learning is how to move your cursor around. That is going to be with H, J, K, and L. So now spend some time moving around with H, J, K, and L, trying to get a little bit comfortable with these. And once you have spent a little bit of time using H, J, K, and L, obviously this is pretty inefficient to edit code. You're not going to be spending a whole bunch of time moving down to where you want to go, or all that time with just moving your cursor. And you might be tempted to reach for your mouse and go and edit code kind of like how you would, clicking around with your mouse and then maybe going into Vim sometimes. But it's very important to ditch your mouse right away with editing Vim, because it will slow you down. So let's figure out how can we replace the mouse with Vim. That'll be the second thing we talk about. So when we use our mouse, let's say I want to come up here to line 8 and change this word choice to say something else. This is something, just as an example, what we might want to do with our mouse. Then I come here and I change choice to choice something. Instead of doing that, if I was down here or up here in Vim, what we would do instead is search for it. So I type /key, and this opens up a search mode. So now anything I type following that slash is going to be what we search the file for and are able to jump to. So now I'm going to type choice, And when I press enter, that now moves me to the next occurrence. But you'll see I'm not at that while choice that I was wanting to get to. And so what you can do is click N, the letter N on your keyboard, to take you to the next occurrence, and do that again to take you to the next one. So now we're here and I can edit choice to be choice something again. So that's how we do that in Vim. Instead of navigating around with our mouse, you want to be using search. And a couple things that might be nice to know with searching, let's keep saying we're wanting to get to that while choice. If I was down here below it, instead of doing /choice and then going next, all the way through my file until I get here, you can be at a location below what you're looking for and use the question mark key. What's that? Use the question mark key and then type choice, and this does an upwards search. Now pressing N moves you backwards or upwards through the file. And also, if I were up here and I searched for choice and then I went past it, what you can do is capital N to then move to the previous occurrence, moving backwards. So that's how you use search to get around your file. But another thing we do with our mouse is scroll around. So if, like for here, we can see choice, and so I can just search for choice. But if I couldn't see it, let's say there's something at the bottom of my file that I want to edit. Well, first of all, what's an important thing in Vim, an efficient thing in Vim, is to remember names of functions and names of variables and to still search it even if you can't see it. But let's say it's not on the screen and I don't remember what I'm looking for, then what we would do without Vim is to reach for our mouse and scroll down, read where we're at, go ahead and click and begin editing the code. So the Vim version of this is, the most direct translation is Control U and Control D, and actually Vim doesn't, or VS Code Vim has this mapped to something else, but what I use for my editor is NeoVim. So now here I am in NeoVim, which has the Control U to scroll up and Control D to scroll down. But I don't use this even in NeoVim. Instead, what I use, I'll go back to VS Code. Instead, what I use to achieve that same kind of effect of scrolling is the bracket commands. So bracket will move you up and down, and what it does is it jumps to what's called a paragraph, which is a little bit of a more complicated Vim topic, but you can think of it just as the next empty line, pretty much. So that can help you get around pretty quickly around the file instead of using scrolling, and also those brackets are more comfortable than Control U and Control D. But if neither of those suit your favorite style, because this does come down to preference, I will still sometimes reach for my mouse and scroll through the file and read it. Usually when I do this, I got my left hand scratching my chin, trying to think about what I'm doing. But I'll still read with my mouse sometimes, because that can be more comfortable than always kind of zipping through the file like that. So it's okay to still use your mouse for that. So there we go. So far we have learned how to replace using the mouse to kind of click around and edit your file, or navigate around your file to do editing. We replaced that with searching. We've also learned how to replace scrolling in Vim using Control U, Control D, or these brackets. And the last reason why we would use our mouse for editing code is if we were to make large selections with our mouse, to maybe delete it or to copy it, whatever that might be, we make those selections with our mouse. So this gets into the heart of Vim, the efficient text editing features. and there's a lot to learn here. So to replace that kind of big text selection, there are 3 main commands, and these are like a family of commands, an umbrella of commands, and that is D, C, and Y. So the first thing we'll learn is pressing D twice. If I say DD when I'm on this line, it deletes the line. And similar to DD is CC. If I say CC, it's what's called changing the line, which is like deleting it, but it puts you right into insert mode. And then the final thing is that Y command, which if we say YY, that will edit the whole, or I'm sorry, that will copy that line. And now I can say P to paste it. And now there's just a bunch of different ways to manipulate those commands. That's pretty much the foundation of it. There is all of these Vim, what are called Vim motions. So if I wanted to get rid of this whole line with my mouse, I would do something like, or I'm at this whole block, actually the block goes here. I would select that whole thing and then to get rid of it. But with Vim, we can say a certain number and then what we want to do. So let's say this is 8 lines, so I'll do 8DD, or is actually 9 lines, 9DD, and that will get rid of the whole block like we just would have done with our mouse. So there's just a whole bunch of those. There is words, there's a lot of advanced stuff, and this is like the end of my teaching. Now you are going to go out and use this foundation to go and figure out more of these commands there. And just like a little sneak peek, let's say with your mouse, if you were to want to change the stuff inside of the string, we can do that same thing in Vim with CI, change inside quotes, and it gets rid of that whole thing. So the sky is honestly pretty much the limit. Using Vim is very fun. So once you've got this foundation, I've tried to set you up to use searching well early, but now you're just going to go and have fun with Vim, try and figure out, how can I do this better? Or I wish I could do this, and then go and figure out how to do that. You can use a Google search, you can use ChatGPT, consult the docs, and I'm also going to give you a couple really good resources from here. So I actually just finished making, or a little bit ago, I made a video that is a Vim tier list. And so that video goes over just a bunch of commands and might be a really nice tool if you're early on. That might be gold. I wasn't making it for beginners like this video is, but if a beginner were to find that video, I think they'll get a lot of good value out of that. Other than that video, which will be linked in the description, probably be able to see it at the end as well. So other than that video, there is Vim Tutor. You might have to download this. I'll give a link in the description. This Vim Tutor will tell you how to go through Vim. Very nice to learn. And there's also a cheat sheet that has just a whole bunch of commands on Vim. So at this point, that's all I've got for you. I hope this can give you a solid foundation and that you have fun learning Vim. Good luck.